All right, let's talk about something I wanted. We've talked about IntegrateLive a couple of times. Jeff Nepper and I think it's Alan Ray he's partnered with on that. And IntegrateLive is pretty similar to what we've done in the Industry 4.0 community, except whereas Industry 4.0 community, Discord server, and IoT.university is really centered around the engineers, the leaders, and the vendors, right? All together, one big, massive community. IntegrateLive is really focused on bringing the vendor partners together to collaborate on Industry 4.0 solutions, to provide the collaborative solution suite that basically the Industry 4.0 community puts together or uses on their projects. I wanted to give a shout out to Jeff because they did a second IntegrateLive where David Schultz and Kevin Jones participated.
That was their coffee chat on Mondays.
Well, they did an IntegrateLive, I think it was last week, where they did the actual development, right? They had the 1 hour session. And then they did a coffee chat on yesterday morning. And they talked about mentorship and mastermind and stuff, but
mostly mastermind, but
yeah, mostly mastermind. But the thing that really, I really enjoyed about that session was they were talking a lot about collaboration. So Kevin Jones, there was a question about where Jeff Nepper asked Kevin Jones, the ROI on joining mastermind. And Kevin basically said, it's incalculable. The ROI is incalculable. And just so you guys know, we didn't know they were doing that. I had no idea. We didn't know Dave and Kevin were going to go and talk about mastermind, or that Jeff Nepper was going to ask about it. They didn't give us a heads up or anything. They were all they said great stuff, and it was really encouraging to hear. But I want to talk about two things that they really talked about, which is very important to the stuff we're going to talk about the rest of the way here. Is fundamentally what's changed in our industry between the third industrial revolution, which was really the OEM driven business model for automating industrial processes. And if you guys want to see what I'm talking about, there's a video we shot maybe 8 months ago, where I talked about the future of industrial automation and how it's changed. And what the first thing I did, part one, is how is it used to work, right? And we talk about the OEM driven model, the OEM, the systems integrator, the distributor, they're all working in cahoots to sell the end user only the products that OEM owns. Okay. And they use a lot of mafia tactics to keep you away from competing products. Okay. And the Industry 4.0 model is really collaboration. And David Schultz talked about this a lot in this coffee talk yesterday, but Kevin Jones brought it up when he was talking about ROI on Mastermind. And he was basically saying that the ROI on Mastermind is incalculable because he didn't say this, but it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the one of the biggest values he gets out of Mastermind, not just the content, but it's the relationships, the professional relationships that have been forged, and how that keeps yielding, benefit for his business and for his clients and for the community. He's talking specifically about how Ectobox and is it G5? Dave's company's G5, right?
G5 right. Consulting, yeah.
So Dave Schultz's company, G5 Consulting, and Ectobox, Kevin Jones's company, Ectobox, how they have, it sounds like 12 to 16 projects that they've been collaborating on. And I want to talk about the importance of this. The reason this Industry 4.0 community has resonated the way it has is because collaboration is the demand for collaboration across what typically had been defined as competitors in the past had built up to the point where once we created the platform and opened the floodgates, it just burst. That made this huge burst of growth. And so one of the things I want to encourage the community is to keep thinking about, how can I collaborate with other members in our community? Not just, and when I say members, I don't mean just individuals, I mean companies, right? How can I, as Intellic Integration, if you look at Intellic Integration as the integrator, which I don't work at Intellic anymore, but I still am the chairman there. Intellic Integration has a dozen integrator partners, integrators that Intellic works with, and who would traditionally be defined as competitors, but they work together, not in exclusive environments or anything like that. But hey, GIS, Galeris Industrial Solutions, based out of Ireland, they primarily specialize in life sciences, but they do everything. They're based in Western Europe. They have specific expertise that we bring them in to work with them on. Scaling automation in the Hudson Valley, which Paul O'Sullivan's company, again, specializes in life sciences, are right down the street from a client we have there. We were meeting with this client. We're like, one of our partners is literally 10 minutes from here. And I really don't want to, we really don't want to do this engagement unless we can leverage them, because they have expertise we think is going to be valuable for you. Right. There was another client that wanted to work, that had a call with me, and they were saying, hey, we want you to architect our Industry 4.0 transformation. And it's built on AWS. And I said, listen, I'm happy to do that, but you have to be willing to allow me to bring Michael Brown from RTS in. Is it RTS or RTL? RTS. Michael Brown, if you're on here, sorry if I don't remember your company's name, but I specifically said to them, hey, you have to allow me to bring Michael Brown in to be the AWS architect for that specific piece. And I'll be the overarching architect. That's what collaboration in our industry is. It's not commercial relationships first. It is strategic relationships based on value first and commercial benefits second. Okay. And that is fundamentally the difference between Industry 3.0 and 4.0 in terms of collaboration. David and Kevin talked about that a lot in that coffee chat. So Zach is going to include the link to that session. It was about 56 minutes or so. I listened to it while I was working out yesterday. I had no intentions of, so I was trying to fit it into my day, a 56-minute video. It was a great session. I absolutely really loved it. Jeff and Alan asked a lot of really good questions. And I text Jeff this morning. It's like, appreciate it, man. You guys said a lot of great stuff about it. And I'm really glad they did that. And I feel like maybe we were trying to show them some love and put a spotlight on what they were doing. And then, it's like, next thing you know, they're talking about what we're doing. And it was interesting. I didn't realize that Jeff, he didn't really understand that the 4.0 solutions community goes beyond just the Discord server into our mentorship certification process and our mastermind kind of. And I want to respond to that piece, and then let's get into our topics for the
we don't talk about it. I mean, we don't really plug it that hard. I mean, we talk about it, but not always,
So there were 5 points that I listed that I gave to Cheryl and Zach last night, which were, here are my big takeaways. In fact, let me go ahead and read them. So I read my 5 takeaways from that session. Okay. So the things I really loved, and I actually, when I texted Nepper, Jeff Nepper this morning, I said, I listened to your Coffee Live this morning. It was a really cool format. I love the collab discussion throughout, especially what Dave and Kevin talked about at the end. Appreciate the shout out. I'll be mentioning today on the podcast any other content you'd like me to mention. And he said, can you mention the rundown? So they're going to be streaming the rundown on Zoom and YouTube tomorrow. They have another session called the rundown. I don't know what the content is. He didn't put it in here, but they have another thing. This is IntegrateLive, all one word, ! You can find them on YouTube. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central, they'll be doing the rundown live. And if you guys could show them love, that would be greatly appreciated. But I want to list the 5 things that I took away. Okay. So number 1, clearly there's confusion about the difference between mentorship and mastermind programs at IIoT.university. So I want to talk about that real quick. Mentorship is simply this. And I don't know all the pricing. I know about what it is. Is it basic? Is it $30-$50 a month?
Mentorship is a $1,000 one-time fee, and you get access to it for lifetime. So if it takes you 2 weeks, which some people have completed in, it's $1,000. If it takes you 2 years, it's $1,000. The whole goal is to get you your certificate at the end of the mentorship.
So mentorship is all about training engineers how to support Industry 4.0 projects. It's literally the technical skills. So there's a 1-hour session every month with the mentees that I generally lead. Sometimes Zach leads it. There's a 1-hour session with the mentees, but there is self-study. So we've created a curriculum that starts with a non-technical curriculum, transitions into a technical curriculum, and goes through multiple steps. We have people who have been in mentorship since September of 2020. That's how long, and it just goes forever. We add new content, we add new training, and that's basically $1,000 one-time fee forever, and you get access to all the content. But it's about training the technical skills. So the engineers, the developers, but also the CI/CD folks, the non-technical people who are going to be doing no-code dashboard building or requirements gathering. Okay. Mastermind is all about teaching architecture, strategy, and leadership. And you're teaching that to the people who are going to lead these initiatives. So the change agents, the directors of digital transformation, that's Mastermind. The president of a systems integrator, the CTO at an OEM, that's what Mastermind is. We have many people who are in both mentorship and Mastermind. We have people who are just in Mastermind. We have people who are just in mentorship. I don't know what the cross is. There are over 100 people in the Mastermind program, and there are 400 plus in mentorship, right, Zach? Something like that. So there are more than 400 people we have in mentorship, and we have over 100 in the Mastermind program. So I strongly encourage people to check that out. But I want to answer that question because it was clear there was I'm going to go through this next one. They were surprised how inexpensive it is. Okay. And they didn't know that we had transparent pricing. Okay. I'm a little bit surprised by because I get pissed off when people don't publish their pricing on their website. In fact, I don't work with anyone who doesn't publish their pricing. So it's very inexpensive, especially when it came to Mastermind. We've heard this a lot. Most people expect it to cost $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 a year for what we're providing in Mastermind, and it's $3,000. Right. So why is it $3,000? Let me answer that question. It's because we're not in this for money. We make money so that we can provide this value, but we're not money motivated. Our goal is to touch as many people as we possibly can. Double entendre. So our goal is to get as wide outreach as we possibly can. That's why the price is so low. Yes, we realize we could charge $25,000 a year and we'd have, say, 40 members. But that would be only the people who could afford $25,000 a year. Okay. What we want to do is educate as many people as we possibly can. And we keep the tuition for Mastermind, that cost of Mastermind, as low as we possibly can.
We also do like payment plans, and we try to work with the individual to make it affordable for them. And
very important to understand. There was a great conversation about you get out of it what you put into it. I love that conversation. And one of the things that I really loved about it was, Kevin talked about when we were originally doing Mastermind, I would reinforce, in every session, I would reinforce the foundational principles of digital transformation. We'd go through them at the beginning of every session for the first 10 minutes. And he talked about how that was incredibly effective to help change mindsets. And so that was really good validation for us to get. So I want to do a couple of quick announcements and then let's get into the rest of the content.